Hey there everybody, today I'm going to be doing an unboxing video of my latest purchase. This is the Oudmon OM570 30 megapixel trail camera. And as I do with all my videos, I like to do these unboxing videos in case there's somebody else out there who's considering buying the same item and might be interested in what does it look like when it comes in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a quick glimpse of the box, show you what's in it, and then I'll try and set it up and do some test images and test videos so you can see the quality of the camera. A couple things to mention with this camera: it runs on 8 AA batteries. It takes a full SD card, not a micro SD card, and actually the SD card you can use is up to 256 gigabytes, which I've never seen one that takes an SD card that is that big. You can use smaller, but you can go all the way up to 256 gigabytes. And again, it's 30 megapixel camera, so your picture files are going to be pretty big. I can see why they would take up to that big of a SD card. So let's open it up and take a look at what you get. This looks like a free gift to a customer. It looks like if you contact them, they'll give you a free 32 gigabyte SD card. The instruction manual. This is a USB cable. I don't know that many people would even really need this, but this allows you to plug your camera into your computer without taking the SD card out. I think most people would just put an SD card in the camera, pull the SD card, put it in your computer to retrieve your images. But should you want to plug in directly to a computer, they give you the cable. And then they also give you a mounting strap here. Pretty standard. This is your standard mounting strap. You'll run it through the back of the camera, around your tree or post, and attach it. And that is everything that comes with the camera. Let's take a look at the camera itself. Wow, it is tiny. Very small, which is a good thing. It's kind of cool. It looks like it's got an area here where you can run a security bracket or something through there. If you want to lock the camera or protect it from being stolen. It does have a threaded bottom. There are some companies that sell hardware and mounting arms, and that's what you would use this for, is if you wanted to mount it to a mounting arm. Also has a DC-in port in case you want to plug it into an electrical outlet or a solar panel. It runs on 8 AA batteries, so I'm assuming you could use a 12-volt solar panel with the camera. Made in China, as the case with most of these. So over here is where you'll put your batteries. It's kind of interesting. Usually they'll have like a cover that covers the batteries, but this one does not have a cover. And then here's a look at your buttons. So down here on the bottom is where you'll put your SD card. There's your port for the USB cable, should you use the USB cable. Here's your buttons. Hopefully you're going to be able to see this, but there's a setup position, there's an off setup and on position, and then there's a menu button. And what I'm going to do is I'll put some batteries in here and we'll go through some of the setup just so you can get a feel for the features and how the setup works. But that's pretty much it. Also, there's a speaker here, a microphone. I think this camera does record, I'm assuming because of the microphone, it records sound on your video. So anyway, there's a quick unboxing, and I'll get it set up and take some test images, and we'll see what the quality's like. Okay, so I've got my 8 AA batteries in the camera, and I thought it might be beneficial to go through the setup with you. I've also got my SD card in the camera. If you're not interested in this setup, you can fast forward to the end of this video, and I'll have some sample images and video that the camera took. But in the meantime, I'm going to go through the setup real quick in case it helps you out in any way. Down here on the bottom, there's 3 different buttons, settings. There's off, there's setup, and there's on. And all I did is I moved it to setup, and that will turn your camera on, and then I press the menu button, and that will take us into the setup itself. Hopefully you'll be able to see this okay. So it's really very basic, very easy to do. you can use these arrow keys to go through your different setup features. So the first thing is setting your clock. To go into it, you just press OK, and you can go through and set your month, set your hour, your minute, your days of the week, your month, and your year. And once you've got all that set, then you just press OK, and it takes you back to the menu. And then you go to your next setting. And I'm going to kind of run through these real quick. I won't bore you with it, but just to tell you what it is. So if you set it to camera, the camera will just take a photo whenever it's triggered. If you set it to video, it'll just take a video whenever it's triggered, but no photo. If you set it to dual, when it's triggered, it'll take a photo, and then it'll take a video as well. And that's what I'm going to have it set on. Your image size options are 3 megapixels, 16 megapixel, or 30 megapixel. The fact that the orange is lit up, that's what I've got it set to. So I'm going with 30 megapixel. Capture number means whenever the camera is triggered, how many pictures do you want it to take? And I usually just leave this on 1. You can set it anywhere from 1 to 9. Image quality, normal, fine, or super fine. I'm going to start with normal, and you can adjust that as needed. Your image format, you can do 4:3 or you can do 16:9. Camera name, if you've got multiple cameras in different locations and you wanted to put a name on the camera so that it shows in the info strip, you can do that here. These are your video size options. I'm going with 1920 by 1080p, which full HD. Video length, you can do anywhere from 5 seconds to, let me make sure I'm right on this. Yeah, 5 seconds to 1 minute. And so it's kind of cool when you cycle through, you can see what you're set on. I'm on 20. If you wanted to set it to 21, for example, you just press OK and go on to your next setting. So interval, this is how often does the camera reset itself? So if I capture an image, something walks in front of the camera, it takes a picture, how many seconds do I want to wait before it triggers itself again? Actually, 10 seconds is a little quick. I'm going to set it to 30 seconds. Coordinate inputs, this is where you can put in your GPS coordinates and it will record that information on the image files. Time period, this is excuse me, this is kind of a nice feature. I've got it off right now, but you can actually set this camera to only be operational during certain times of the day. So maybe you only want to capture daytime pictures, but you're not interested in nighttime pictures. You can set that here, or vice versa. Maybe you only care about nighttime pictures, but you don't want it taking pictures during the day. You can set it to start at 6 o'clock in the afternoon and go all night until 6 in the morning and it cut off. So that's a cool feature, I think. But I'm gonna cut it off. I'm gonna let it work 24/7. Time scan would be for time-lapse photos. If you're not interested in something triggering the camera, you just want to take a picture at a certain time every day, you can set that here. I think most people use that kind of thing for like gardens, if you want to track the growth of your tomatoes, or construction sites where you're trying to track the progress of a project. You would do that with the time scan. Sensory level is how sensitive is it when the camera gets triggered, high, low, or auto. You can set a password on the camera. Image recycle means when the memory card fills up, do you want it to start deleting the earliest pictures first, or do you just want it to stop taking pictures completely? And I've got it on off, which means if the memory card happens to fill up, it just won't take any more pictures. You can choose whether to have the timestamp on your images or not. And you can choose whether or not you want to record sound on your video. You can choose your language. You can format your SD card. This is probably a pretty good idea, especially if you're using an SD card that you used in a prior camera. It's a good idea to execute the format so it resets the card to factory default, and then it's ready for use in this camera. And then this would be where you can set the camera back to the default settings. Lastly, your version number, and then you're back to setting the clock. So the setup is very easy. I do wish these buttons lit up. It would make it a little bit easier to do at nighttime, but the screen itself is very easy to read. The buttons are very responsive, and I like the fact that it's color coordinated. It helps you as far as knowing what you've got it set on. So anyway, once you've got your settings all set, you can press menu to exit and then move it to the on position. And you'll see that the camera starts blinking. That's to let you know that it's triggering itself. Once it stops blinking, the camera is operational and it's ready to start capturing images. So I hope that helps.
I'm gonna go ahead and cut the camera off. I'm going to set it up and we'll see what kind of image and video quality we get.